All right, breaking news, and we're back. 1 second. All right, you back with me, Riley?
I'm here. Yep.
All right, so the one thing we got to do is we got to adjust your noise gate. I know we did some stuff with it last time, but we'll have to fix it later. Okay, so we're back. Do we have a chat? Do we have a chat back up or what?
Yes. Yep. The chat's rolling. I can adjust my noise gate real quick.
So you want to turn it? I don't know what it's at, but there we go. I don't know what happened. So it just all of a sudden stopped streaming anything, period. And I think we're good now. I know that we were streaming in 4K at the draft. So that could have been part of the problems for buffering, even though it shouldn't, because we should have plenty of ability here. But I'm back to 1440p, so you shouldn't have any more streaming issue or buffering issue anyway. So we were talking about Isaac Tesla.
Right. Yep.
And like I was saying, like I'm super impressed by, this kid's, height, weight, speed. And I liked Brad's sweatshirt where, he had the line through the HWS. It says height, weight, speed, and the line through it, like cross it out because you have to watch the tape. And I'd love to go into a tape dive on Isaac Tesla, and we will. So I'm going to do a tape dive on all of our prospects that were drafted. As far as the UDFAs, I might do a couple, but I'm going to do some work on these guys and do a tape dive, and I think it'll be fun. Maybe we can get all 22 to come in. Maybe he'll do it with me. Maybe he'll do his own, or maybe he'll just, talk about what he did. I'm sure he's already doing some stuff. So, and that's the other thing that sucked on the first night is I had all of these guests lined up, and we couldn't get in till 3:00 Central. So they only gave us 4 hours, which it only gave us less than 2 hours to get set up.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't end up getting there till probably 4 because 1, we had to fight traffic, and 2, they made us walk through the entire stadium, right? Through the entire thing, the entire theater with carts through 150,000 people instead of like, that's the one thing that Green Bay did not do right. Like we should have had a media drop off point and they didn't give it to us.
So you can get set up and where the building that you guys, where Media Row was at, where you were broadcasting from, was that like just right outside of Lambeau Field?
Yeah, it's involved with it. It's called the Resch Center. So you've got the Resch Center, and then across from it, across the other side, you have the field. But the way that that whole thing is set up, it's all one big giant community. They're all together. So set up good. It was a good setup. It just wasn't, it just was not a good setup for us having to fight through all of, all that crap, all those people, all those damn Packer fans.
Yeah, I was wondering if Eric was going to come out of that unscathed, but I know, it's pretty cool that the NFL changes the location every year for the draft, but I'd be curious to know for people that, cover it every year, you hope for one thing and you never really know what you're going to get, I guess, I'm assuming, as far as, accommodations and those things. But again, I know I mentioned it earlier, but I thought you guys did extremely well, especially for first crack at it. So.
Oh, yeah, I thought it went well. Someone asked in the chat something about Eric. Oh, so does this make Eric hate Green Bay more? Bob W., let me put it to you this way. Have you ever, no, don't answer this because that would be pretty, that wouldn't be good if you answer what I'm about to say. So think about, you took a nice soft dump and you got to go wipe and your finger goes through the toilet paper. That's how Eric feels about Green Bay Packers. That moment when your finger's all nasty and brown, that's how he feels about Packers. So imagine rubbing shoulders with all these Green Bay Packer fans as you're walking through, he felt like he was getting poop all over his shoulders. I'm just saying that's how he probably felt. Just saying.
Mincing no words, man. He's yeah, it was pretty funny, man. It's what was it? He got the Matthew Golden pick for them, right? And it's what was the other one? Oh, I think it was when the Bears got Luther Burden. I think your first word was "damn it," because you're looking at these teams in the division that are improving. But I felt like that last year, and I feel like that again this year. It'll be a hell of a division. It's going to be very competitive. I imagine you're going to have to win 12, 13 games probably to get it done.
It's going to be tough. That's for sure. I'm about sick of the yawns. Hold on. Oh, I've got some yawns going on, man. I need to get some sleep for a couple of days, I swear. So I'm trying to remember, where was Tesla taken? Why am I not remembering the number? It was one.
So he was pick 70 in the
70.
third round.
Here it is, 70. All right. So the question earlier was there anybody else that we could have taken after him? So let's walk through it for just a moment. And don't let me forget, I wish we had everybody in, because the whole edge thing that I was going to say. Landon Jackson was taken 2 picks after 72. So that tells you that if he wasn't going to be taken at 60, he was gone. He was gone by the time we get to 102. Pat Bryant would have been gone by the time we got to 102. Princely Umanamian was gone. Yeah. Jordan Birch would have been gone. Dylan Fairchild would have been gone.
Who was the
Savion Williams would have been gone.
Yep.
And Green Bay picked up 2 really good wide receivers. Josiah Stewart. Hey, exactly where I said Josiah Stewart was going to go. 3rd round, end of the 3rd, bang, pick 90. Doesn't get any closer than that. Jalen Milroe, man, did I miss on that one. I thought for sure someone was going to pick him up earlier. He might be the only 3rd round pick that I actually think has a shot at doing something in this league. If a team actually gives him a shot. Jonas Sanker, so he would have been gone too. Charles Grant, the guy that we liked on the offensive line, he was gone at 99. Savion Jones, the other edge that we like, gone at 101.
Yeah, one before.
So, yeah, I think that Brad made the right move here. Again, there was quite a few edge rushers that were available and some nice ones. I mean, there's some good names in there. Just not on Brad's list.
Yeah, I think as you give it more of that retrospective, kind of think through. I'm excited about Tesla, man. I didn't know, if again, going into the draft, if you say, hey, man, the Lions get a receiver that they really like in the 3rd round, I would have started scrambling, thinking like, well, which one would it have been? The one that I liked too, that I feel like you were pretty high on too, was the kid out of Utah State, who ended up in Kansas City, if I'm not mistaken. Royal?
Utah State, Jalen Royals?
Yeah. But Tesla, man, from everything that I've read since, and I think, I don't know where we got frozen on the previous stream, but I think you made some really good points that are sentient and actually valid points about where, he's going to want it a little bit more because he grew up with a Lions fan. This is a guy that Dan Campbell said, you got to be careful. You just went 15-2. You can't, shake it up too much. So if you're bringing in a guy, it's got to be somebody that can fit right in. I think you said that too. It particularly at this position, it's not like corner where there's a ton of responsibility like what Terrion faced last year, or, there's a soft landing for Tesla to come in. You don't need to come in and put up 10 touchdowns or 1,000 yards. Just come in and do your role, and that can help the team for sure. And he's going to be around for a long haul.
So I want to point this out too. When I watched Jack Sawyer, and Remember the guys that the teams are meeting with. There's kind of two stories here. One, if they're meeting with these guys a lot, that means they have a lot more questions about the player, about maybe what they learned the first time or what they heard the first time. And if they're not meeting with these guys a lot, they could look like, well, they don't like them. I don't think that's the case. But in the case of Jack Sawyer, when I said, man, this guy's off my board, like I said that almost immediately after the draft, he's off my board. Like he's not that great. I still liked him, as an option way down the line. But I also said he would make way more sense as an interior linebacker in a 3-4 scheme. And he ends up going to the Pittsburgh Steelers at pick 123.
Mm-hmm.
I still can't believe that. I didn't think he would fall that far. I'll be honest. I didn't think he would fall out of the top 100, but I definitely had him, I guess midday 2, I guess you could call it, or end of, goodness, end of 3 was even a reach. I kind of had him like middle of 3, early 3, and he was like at the beginning of 4.
Yeah, and I know you weren't too keen on the short arms as well, right?
Exactly. That's the biggest thing. So as far as the Steelers, they run a 3-4 defense. So I think that it'd be interesting to see if they end up putting him in as an inside linebacker. I think that's a much better spot for him. And I think if they do, he's going to tear it up. He's going to tear it up. Another guy that came off the board, Q Robinson at 134. Joshua Farmer, the guy that I was really high on, 137. Another guy that I was really high on, CJ West. That dude tested incredibly well. 113, went to San Francisco. Watch that name. He's one of the guys. I'm going to do a video on the sleepers. And I'm going to tell you right now, CJ West is on that list. Another guy that's on that list is Jalen Travis. Or I think his last name's Travis. Excuse me. Hold on.
Yeah, you were talking about him, I think on the last show leading up to day 1 of the stream. Because you threw him out and asked. There's another name, too, that when you're done with this one, I'm going to bring up that I thought was pretty interesting.
Where did he get selected? Where did he go? I thought it was 4th round.
Let me see if I can see Travis.
There he is. He went to the Colts. Iowa State offensive tackle. He was the second best tackle tested in my version of the PFF. We got to come up with a name of it. I got to figure out a name this week because I keep saying my thing and people aren't going to know what my thing is. I got to give it a damn name so they can remember what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But when you look at what I built, it is very similar to a RAS, and it's a version of just a scoring system for scouts and how you give them a score and kind of figure out where they're going to drop, where they're going to be taken. And I think that's part of the process, right? It's part of the process to kind of figure out where these guys are going to go, to know, do you have an opportunity to get him or not, So
yeah.
Anyway, who else is next? Do you want to talk about? So we covered Ratledge. We covered Tesla.
Yep. I think there's a couple in there too that I kind of went straight to the Ahmed. I think Trey said is how it's pronounced too. Just because I was reading his story last night because I saw the video of him getting the phone call. From Dan Campbell, first Egyptian drafted into the NFL, and born in the U.S., left, came back. Pretty cool story. Didn't play football till 2019, but just another one of those late round picks that Brad Holmes. You can already see, and I can only imagine if you sat and had interviews with these guys, you can feel their energy and their emotion and their desire to succeed. It's pretty easy to be like, yeah, this guy would be worth the 6th round.
Oh,
Uh,
we're working on it. Trust me, I've already got the messages out to get all these guys on.
yeah. Oh, that would be awesome to hear. But yeah, Boise State guy. So I've got a coworker and friend too that's another big Boise State guy. So I got to talk to him Monday and say, man, tell me more about this guy. But yeah, I think we kind of hit on Miles Frazier a little bit. Again, it just gets back to, man, at the end
Well,
of the day.
let's wind back to Ahmed.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know enough about him. I didn't spend enough time really doing a lot of work, so I really can't comment a whole lot. Other than congratulations on getting engaged immediately after you get selected to play for the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
I mean, he still has to make a team, but you know he's an interesting pick. The one thing that I can appreciate, I got a couple of messages by one of the members who knows this guy pretty well, and pretty much said, well, it called him an animal, an absolute animal.
Somebody that in our chat that knows him.
Yeah, one of the members of the channel says that he, basically just said he was an animal, and he said that I bet that he makes the team and adds to the defense. So he's expecting for Ahmed, even though where he was selected and how deep this room is, that he's going to find a spot. And I guess if we were to look at our depth chart, he's an edge. So, I mean, he's the only edge that we took in this draft. I think we might have grabbed a couple more in the free agency market. But you guys all remember, actually, let me pause. I'll come back to that. Let's look at our depth chart real quick for Ahmed. But two things. Edge, and I've got to remind you guys on something that I said about making the team. So right now you've got Aiden Hutchinson, Al-Quddin Muhammad, and then Ahmed Hassanian. I butchered that name, Ahmed. I'm so sorry. Mitchell Agood. And then on the other side, you've got, well, they still have Josh Pascal listed there, but Brad Holmes says he's going back inside. So you have Marcus Davenport, Pat O'Connor, who plays inside outside, and Isaac Ukwu. So, I mean, that's it. He's probably going to make it. I mean, right now, Ali McNeil's going to be sitting down. Mekhi Wingo's going to probably be sitting down. Malcolm Rodriguez is going to be sitting down. I'm a little bit concerned that we didn't pull a linebacker. It is what it is, but we're never done. There's still some guys that are going to get cut. There's, summer cuts that are going to happen, and that's where Brad always finds somebody is after summer cuts. Yeah, every single year it seems like he does it. So there's one thing that I mentioned early in this process. Remember when we were trying to figure out how many guys they could take, and that's why I said if they only get 3 or 4, like I would be surprised, but don't be surprised, and I wouldn't be surprised. So how many UDFAs did we get? 8? 10? The roster's full.
Yeah, I don't think it's that many. I don't know the number, but I don't think it's that many.
So if the roster is full, which usually it's not by now, that tells you something. Sorry, I didn't have any of this stuff pulled up. Yeah, Detroit Lions, as of 3 hours ago, have now reached the 90-man limit. Here's your 90-man roster. We have 10 UDFAs. Running back, and Anthony Tyrus out of Ohio. Running back, Kai Robichaud. That's a name to watch. Boston College. Tight end, Caden Prescorn, Ole Miss. Wide receiver, Jackson Meeks, Syracuse. That is another name to watch. Wide receiver, Jacoby Keeney James, UMass. Offensive line, Mason Miller, North Dakota State. Offensive line, Leaf Fautanu. Is he related to the other Fautanu that was selected, or am I thinking of a different name?
There is I think last year, a Fautanu that was drafted pretty highly, and I'm sure there's a relation somewhere.
I think he was drafted like in the top 12.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
we did grab an edge in the UDFA market, and that's Keith Cooper Jr. out of Houston, cornerback Galvin Holmes out of Texas, and then safety Ian Kennelly out of GVSU. Congratulations to all the UDFAs. I think I heard or read somewhere that the Lions made a couple of sizable offers to these guys, a couple of guarantees and signing bonuses on a couple of them. Your draft class. Lions actually ended up pulling 7 guys. But when you look at it, Tyleik Williams, Tate Ratledge, and Isaac Tesla are all but locks. Miles Frazier, most likely a lock. But the last 3, Ahmed Hassanin, butchered it again, Dan Jackson, and Dominic Lovett are not locks. These guys are going to have to work for it. This roster is full at 90 men. And I don't know that in the last 4 years, previous 4 seasons, that we've been full the day after the draft ends. I don't think that's ever been the case. I mean, maybe with UDFAs, filling it out, but I think last year, didn't we have like 16 UDFAs last year? So that's what I was saying prior to the draft is, don't be surprised if it's 3 or 4 really good players. Don't be surprised if the Lions have what you could consider a weak draft, or we're not going to have as many UDFAs. We're going to have more guys coming back to the team from free agency. And then you have to look at the deals that the Lions have done, the contracts that they've handed out. Year after year after year, the Lions have less and less and less that they have to bring in. And so if that continues to happen, then that just means it's going to be harder to make this team. So it's not a bad problem to have.
Yeah, it's not. And that Jackson Meeks is pretty cool. I think he got like $200,000 paid to him, and he is the nephew of Zadarius Smith. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah, this is wide receiver Jackson Meeks. So Zadarius Smith, whatever, posted something on it too. So it's hopefully, I think we might see Z back, but not just for that reason. But it is cool that that is his nephew. That's one of the undrafted free agents that they brought in.
Okay, so let's break this down a little bit. Got this thing on the wrong side here. So last year, the Lions brought in 15 UDFAs, right? And looking at our roster right now, Kingsley Aguakun, he was a UDFA last year. He's on the 90-man. Isaac Ukwu, he was a UDFA last year. He's on the 90-man. Nate Lynn's gone. Steel Chambers is gone. Deron Gilbert. Isn't Deron Gilbert back? Yep, Deron Gilbert's back. He's on the 90-man. So there's 3. About Morris Norris. Isn't he back? Yep, he's back. That's 4. Lauren Strickland. He's back. That's 5. So if my numbers are right, 5 out of 15 UDFAs are on the roster that we had prior to the draft.
Mm-hmm.
So we kept 5. That's a pretty good number. A third of your UDFAs are now on the roster this year. That's pretty incredible. All right, who else do we want to talk about before we get rolling here?
I think we may have hit on at least everybody that comes to mind. Or Chad, are we missing anybody? Somebody, Mr. Detroit City just said Will is the man, and somebody asked a question too.
Oh, we didn't talk about safety Dan Jackson.
Oh yeah, what?
I totally forgot about Dan Jackson like that. Let me just read what this Cole Bambini said about Dan Jackson. Round 7, 230th pick overall. 5'11", 194. He's a safety out of Georgia. He ran a 4.45 40-yard dash, 34 vert, 10'3" broad. Jackson was a 6-year senior who was a starter in his final year. So he's got to be pushing 24 years old. He recorded 64 tackles, which was third on the team, 1.5 tackles for loss, and 2 interceptions for Georgia. He posted an 85.3 coverage grade. 33 targets that he faced in 2024, he only allowed a 56.3 passer rating and 0 TDs. So this guy's obviously going to have to work his way through special teams. He was an all-SEC coach's third team selection, and he was a 2024 Burlsworth Trophy nominee. Get this, he was a walk-on to Georgia.
Yeah.
6-year senior who shows a strong desire to get downhill and set the tone as a striker. Despite his aggression, he's more effective in coverage than he is as a run defender. Remember, run defender is the most important thing for Brad Holmes. He's responsive to route combinations and is detail-oriented in his coverage, but his athletic limitations that appear to limit on-ball production. He's a 1-year starter at Georgia. Jackson was a versatile safety in head coach Kirby Smart's scheme, lining up in the too high and in the middle field cheat coverage. When he keeps the play in front of him, he reacts without hesitation and closes with an extra gear to explode through contact. Overall, Jackson doesn't have the high-end coverage skills desired at the position, but he is instinctive, tough, and determined, and his stopwatch speed shows working downhill. So it's going to be tough for him to make the roster.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It's going to be tough. But you just love hearing these kind of stories, right? I mean, a walk-on to Georgia, plays football for 6 years, and finally becomes a starter. And that speaks to the character, right? The Lions want guys that are going to show up. When it's tough, they show up. When it gets harder, they show up. And that's what it's all about to be a Detroit Lion. You have to show up time and time and time. Because it's not always going to be easy. It's going to be tough. You're going to have some down times. You're going to have some down years.
I can't imagine being a 0-star recruit walking on, like showing up at Georgia, no stars, or just walk on. Like, you know, what's going through your mind? Most people just be like, let me just go to a school where I've got a better shot at making the roster. But obviously he believed in himself, and those things matter, especially when you get to this point where, like you say, he's a fringe guy. It's everything you just described. It's a perfect 7th round pick for this, Detroit Lions team.
You know, the other thing to think about here too is Mr. Dominic Lovett, wide receiver out of Georgia. So he was selected in round 7, pick 28 by the Detroit Lions. And look, I didn't do any work on this guy. I don't really know anything about him other than this. He's a burner. He's clocked at 4.4, but from what I read or listened to on my way home, he's been clocked as low as 4.35s, which is moving. And he's only 5'10", 185 pounds soaking wet, but the guy can move. 1.53 10-yard split, 33.5-inch vert, 10-foot broad, and a 4.27 20 shuttle. Played at Missouri in 21 and 22. Played in all 13 games in 21, 6 starts. He was 26 catches for 173 yards. 22, he was second team All-SEC. He led the team with 56 catches, 846 receiving yards. What a huge jump. 15.1 yards per catch, three tutties on the season. 2023, played all 14 games with 7 starts. Had a little drop back. 54 receptions, 613 yards. Only 11.4 per catch, 4 TDs. And then in 24, he led the team with 59 receptions, 607 yards, 10.3 per, 6 receiving TDs. Played in all 14 games with 7 starts. So he never cracked the roster as a full-time starter. But in his I mean, if you're only playing half the games as a starter, I mean, that kind of production is solid. You know, if he's only getting 2/3 of the snaps, maybe half, that's some solid work. So good turnover and lean in the drive phase to build momentum. He stems routes at crisp angles, unfettered by fear of collisions, which is, I guess, I've never seen someone write that before, but that's good. Makes athletic adjustments. Everything about his game is smooth. Plays at his good speed. Plays at his good speed throughout the route. I'm not sure what that means. I mean, I have an idea of what it means. What is good speed? Like, is he playing with his speed? Is he going all out? Like, what does that mean?
You know, I guess if you're looking at it in a gunner roll, are you overrunning somebody? Yeah, I don't know what good speed is. Like controlled speed, I guess.
Well, no, I guess like there's some guys, like put it this way. There's some guys when they get the ball, they run a lot harder, a lot meaner, a lot more crisp when they get the ball. But before they get the ball, some guys don't run as hard, don't cut as hard, right? Not as crisp of a route. And so you want guys to do what they do with the ball before they get the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So maybe that's what that means is they're saying that he plays with good speed throughout the route, meaning he's actually going full out.
Yeah, he's engaged. Yep.
Just kind of weird the way that they wrote it there. And that was NFL.com. Weaknesses, though, hands can be inconsistent when throws aren't right at him. I don't like that because that does happen with Jared Goff. We'll get bodied and bullied by big nickelbacks. I don't like that. How big is this guy? 5'10" and 185? Yeah, he's a little small.
He's not. Yeah.
So here's what I see for this guy. Without even watching any tape on him, here's what I see. Just by height, weight, speed, and all that good stuff, this is our next Khalif Raymond.
Mm-hmm.
So does he do any work in punt return? That's what I'm about to find out.
Yeah, there was a quote I had pulled up from Lovett. He says, whenever you put me on the field, I just plan to make an impact any way I can, any way possible. It may be on special teams, maybe on third down, first down. I'm okay with being a team's tool guy. Wherever they need me to be, I'm okay with that. I just want to be on the field. So I think special teams will be his route to make the roster.
He was a gunner on special teams. That makes sense. So he's willing to contribute wherever needed. He has no punt return stats. What about kick return? Kick return. Here we go. Nothing. No kick return yards. Nothing.
He's expressed willingness to do it, but hasn't registered any stats doing it. But speed, I guess he's got the speed to do it. And then, that's vital for sure. Obviously, there's times where it's like, man, let's just let JMO return one of these. But obviously, you don't want to risk the injury there. But if you can get somebody that can burn on a return, that'd be ideal from that spot.
So Peter Van Larhoven and Will Carter both mentioned that Brad had mentioned in the press conference. So I didn't listen to day 3. I haven't listened to day 3 yet. I was exhausted yesterday driving home. So they said that to listen to what Brad said because they believe in his press conference, they're pointing out to, one, how Brad feels about the late round draft picks and their value. And Will Carter says, 2, Brad mentioned in one of his briefings that about him being a big time special teams component, talking about Dominic Lovett here, the wide receiver taken late in the draft process. So I love it, man. Look, I'm happy with the draft. Look, it's not like Brad went in with a club and just started knocking out home runs. But here's, I mean, he grabbed the unsexy picks that are going to have big time, purpose on this team, and they're going to fill a big time need. Even though Brad is BPA, I think he got some good value here. He didn't trade back, which might be a little concerning given the fact that we could have lost an extra first round pick. But when you are settled on the guy that you want, you have to take him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was saying, yesterday when we got to pick 28, and I'm like, geez, oh, Pete's. Yeah, I'd love to trade back, but what did I kept saying? I kept saying, look, we're at 28, and you got this log jam. You've got Scorton, you have Williams, you have a couple other guys. You have to take the pick. You can't walk away now.
Who was the third guy? It was Scorton, Williams, and oh my gosh.
God, my brain's even frozen.
My brain's fried. I know it was for you. It was kind of a toss up here between Scorton and Tyleek, but Tyleek was the guy that you were kind of calling from the beginning. Campbell, Jihad Campbell.
Oh yeah, Campbell. I'm still surprised he slipped as far as he did. And again, there was some things pointed to some background things for a few guys, but we'll really never know.
Yeah.
What the reasons were. And that's okay. Like we'll see what happens with these guys, from afar.
Mm-hmm.
We'll keep a pulse on it. But here I wanted to leave you guys with this today. While you are waiting. Oh, before I do that, as far as schedule goes, I'm going to do more night shows this week. A lot of the morning stuff, I'll do one this week more than likely. I'll do at least one morning show this week, especially if it's going to rain. I got a lot of things I got to catch up on. Honey-do list, it's springtime. I got to get stuff done around the house. So I got to get some things caught up. I got to get life caught up. I have to take a break. I have a heart procedure on Friday. So I need to de-stress as much as possible. So I'll keep you guys, up to speed, but there'll be some videos popping up this week. I'll at least do that. I'll do a couple night shows. I'll probably do one morning show. So just pay attention to the channel, put your notifications on. That way you'll know when something is scheduled. I'll schedule it in advance so you at least have enough notice if you want to be part of the live show. But while you guys are waiting for the next draft, and while we're waiting until after 90-man cuts, your edge rusher is going to be right there waiting with you. And you know who you are. Oh, what did I say? What did he keep? When did I tell you? I told you a long time ago. Yep. It was Tyleek Williams. And we expected it. Good luck next time. We'll see if you can go 0 for 6. I'm pounding them out, kicking them out left and right, man. We're getting it right around here because we spend the time. I think we have a good pulse on the team, and we got a great group. We got a great community. And for those of you in the chat that wanted an edge rusher, I'm not making fun of you guys at all. I think that we know what I'm talking about. But it's good to have everyone that understands, at least in this community here. Who cares if we're right or wrong, right? It's all about being part of the team this year and being there rooting them on no matter what.
Right.
You're either part of the team or you're part of the problem. That's the way I look at it. Either you want the team to win or you just want to sit there and cheer from the sidelines. Those of us that have been invested in this team for a long time, we're going to continue to root for success and not try to tear the fan base apart. So we'll catch you guys out in the next one, whenever that is this week. So Riley, your final 30.
Man, it's tough to top that. I just think you just drop the mic and we just roll with that. But again, shout out to Will and Eric for an awesome job this week, and everybody that was there in the chat. Love the Rockhound community. Let's go Lions.
I think Stain Vision just said it best. All right, mic drop. We'll see you guys in the next one. Jesus Christ. I don't even know how to end a stream anymore.